The Solarian vessel drifted silently through the void, its advanced stealth systems making it nearly invisible against the backdrop of stars. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the bridge's observation window, her weathered face reflected in the reinforced glass as she watched a primitive spacecraft make its first tentative journey beyond its atmosphere. The species below, the Nexari, were taking their first steps into space, unaware that humanity had been quietly protecting them for the past century. Multiple quantum signatures detected, Captain, Lieutenant Rivera announced, his fingers dancing across the holographic display. 3 vessels, Galactic Federation Registry. They're on an intercept course. Sarah suppressed a sigh. This was the moment they'd trained for, yet hoped would never come. For over 100 years, humanity had managed to keep their protection program hidden from the galaxy at large. They'd rejected countless invitations to join the Galactic Federation, isolated their colonies, and maintained a facade of xenophobic reclusiveness, all to protect species like the Nexari from interference during their most vulnerable stages of development. "Battle stations," she ordered calmly, "but keep weapons powered down. Let's see what they want first." The crew moved with practiced efficiency, readying the ship while maintaining their stealth profile. The Solarian was officially classified as a research vessel, but like all ships in humanity's Guardian fleet, it concealed capabilities that would shock their galactic neighbors. The Federation ships dropped out of FTL, their sleek crystalline hulls gleaming in the light of the Nexari homeworld's twin suns. Sarah recognized the design. Etherian vessels, known for their sophisticated scanning technology. Of course it would be the Etherians who finally discovered them. "They're hailing us," Rivera reported, surprise evident in his voice. They know we're here." Sarah straightened her uniform. "Accept the transmission. Visual only." The holoscreen materialized, revealing an Etherian observer. Their crystalline form shifted through shades of blue and green, a sign of curiosity in their species. "Unknown vessel," the observer's translated voice echoed through the bridge. "You are in violation of Galactic Federation Statute 147. Interference with pre-space species. Power down your systems and prepare for inspection." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth vessel Solarian. We acknowledge your presence but reject your authority in this matter. The Nexari system is under human protection." The Etherian's crystalline form flickered with surprise. "Human. Your species has rejected all contact for over a century. You have no standing in Federation space." "Precisely," Sarah replied. "We rejected Federation membership because we disagreed with your policies on developing species. The Nexari deserve the chance to grow without interference, including yours." "Captain," Rivera interrupted urgently. "The Nexari vessel, their prototype FTL drive is destabilizing." Sarah's training took over. "Observers, you have a choice. You can either help us save that ship, or you can watch how humanity protects its charges. Either way, we're going in." Without waiting for a response, Sarah nodded to her helm officer. The Solarian's stealth field dropped, revealing the true nature of their vessel. What had appeared to be a simple research ship transformed as hidden panels shifted, revealing advanced rescue and intervention systems that the Federation had never seen before. By the first light, the Etherian observer whispered, their form now pulsing with shocked whites and yellows. "What are you?" "We are their guardians," Sarah replied simply as her ship moved to intercept the failing Nexari vessel. "Their protection is worth more than our place in your society." The next few minutes demonstrated exactly why humanity had been able to maintain their secret vigil for so long. The Solarian deployed a specialized containment field around the Nexari ship, one designed specifically to appear like natural phenomena to primitive sensors. Emergency teleporters, technology humanity had officially claimed they hadn't developed, extracted the Nexari crew moments before their drive detonated. Sarah watched as her medical team worked to save the unconscious aliens while maintaining the illusion that they had managed to save themselves through their own ingenuity. It was delicate work, requiring technology so advanced it would seem like magic to both the Nexari and much of the Federation. Why? The Etherian observer asked, their crystalline form now showing the deep purple of confusion. Why sacrifice your place in galactic society for this? Sarah turned back to the screen, her eyes reflecting the same determination that had driven humanity to choose this path. Because we remember. We remember how close we came to destroying ourselves when we first reached for the stars. How many times we nearly wiped out our civilization before we learned better. Every species deserves the chance to learn those lessons on their own terms. The observer was silent for a long moment. The Federation Council will need to be informed of this. We know, Sarah replied. We've prepared for this day since we began our vigil. But before you file your report, I invite you to see something. She nodded to Rivera, who transmitted a data packet to the Etherian vessels. These are coordinates for 27 other systems under our protection. 27 civilizations that might have destroyed themselves, or been exploited, or had their natural development disrupted. Instead, they're growing, learning, reaching for the stars at their own pace. The data scrolled across the Etherian screens, worlds where humanity had secretly prevented natural disasters, deflected asteroids, neutralized solar flares, and even prevented well-meaning Federation researchers from inadvertently contaminating developing cultures. This is unprecedented, the observer managed. The resources required, the commitment, is worth every sacrifice. Sarah finished. Now shall we discuss how to return these Nexari to their ship in a way that preserves their dignity and independence. After all, this is their moment of triumph or failure. We're just here to ensure they have a fair chance at it. As the Solarian's crew worked with the increasingly fascinated Etherians to resolve the crisis, Sarah allowed herself a moment of hope. Perhaps it was time for humanity to step out of the shadows, not to join the Federation, but to show them a different way. A way where the strong protected the developing without interfering, where every species had the chance to reach the stars on their own terms. The Nexari ship was soon restored, its crew safely back aboard with no memory of their rescue, believing they had managed to stabilize their prototype drive through their own efforts. As Sarah watched them make their triumphant return to their homeworld, she knew that somewhere in the Federation, wheels were beginning to turn. Humanity's great secret was about to become known, and the galaxy would never be the same. Send word to command, she ordered Rivera. Tell them it's time for protocol revelation. The Guardians are about to step into the light. The news spread through the Galactic Federation like a quantum shockwave. Humanity, the mysterious recluses who had rejected all contact for over a century, were secretly protecting dozens of developing civilizations. The Federation Council chamber on Centauri Prime hadn't been this crowded in decades. High Chancellor Vexera, her crystalline form shifting between deep blues of contemplation and sharp reds of concern, addressed the assembled representatives. The evidence provided by Observer First Class Catal is irrefutable. For over 100 years, humanity has maintained a network of protective operations across 27 developing systems, all without detection until now. Holoprojections filled the chamber, showing human vessels expertly camouflaged as natural phenomena, hidden stations monitoring developing worlds, and infrastructure that defied conventional Federation understanding. The cost in resources alone was staggering. Ambassador Lynn Walmerverth stood calmly before the council, her white hair and lined face testament to decades of service. She had spent 30 years as humanity's sole diplomatic contact with the Federation, maintaining their carefully crafted image of isolationism. Now, at last, she could speak the truth. "You're wondering about the price," she said, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. "The cost of our choice to become guardians rather than join your civilization. Let me show you." With a gesture, she changed the holoprojections. Now they showed Earth's colonies, or rather, the lack of them. Where other spacefaring races had expanded across dozens of systems, humanity had deliberately limited their growth to protect developing species. "We could have had 100 colonies by now," Lin continued. Instead, we have 12. Every system we found with developing life, we marked as forbidden for colonization. We diverted our expansion around them, built hidden watchers instead of cities. A Meridian representative, their floating gas form constricting in disbelief, spoke up. You sacrificed your own expansion for species that don't even know you exist. Species that may never achieve spaceflight. Yes, Lin replied simply. Because someone had to. She brought up new images, records of Federation interventions in developing civilizations. Some were well-intentioned scientific studies that had gone wrong. Others showed the subtle exploitation of primitive worlds for resources. All showed the price of interference. We remember our own history, Lin explained. How close we came to destroying ourselves when we discovered atomic power. The wars we fought over our first colonies. The mistakes we made and learned from. Every species deserves the chance to make their own mistakes, learn their own lessons. The chamber erupted in debate. Some representatives argued that the Federation's policies protected developing species. Others demanded to know how humanity had achieved such advanced technology while appearing primitive to outside observers. Admiral James Chen, Sarah Chen's father and architect of the Guardian Fleet, stepped forward. His weathered face and practical uniform stood in stark contrast to the exotic forms of the Federation representatives. You're asking the wrong questions, he said, his quiet voice somehow cutting through the chaos. You're focusing on what we gave up. Ask instead what we gained. The holoprojections changed again, showing the Nexari's successful first FTL flight. Their joy and triumph were palpable, even in the recording. Then it showed other successes, species overcoming their own challenges, solving their own problems, growing and learning at their natural pace. We gained purpose, James continued. We learned that true strength isn't in conquest or expansion, but in protecting those who need protection, in standing guard so others can grow without fear or interference. A quantum mind collective representative pulsed with skepticism. Your technology clearly rivals or exceeds our own in many areas. Yet you claim to have developed this in isolation. Lin smiled. Not in isolation. In focus. Every advance we made was driven by our need to protect without being detected. Every discovery was shaped by our promise to watch without interfering. She brought up one final projection. A map of known space, with the systems under human protection highlighted. We didn't withdraw from the galaxy out of fear or disdain. We withdrew because we saw a need that no one else was filling. These worlds aren't our subjects or our projects. They're our charges, and we are their guardians. The High Chancellor's form had settled into the deep green of decision. The Federation cannot ignore this revelation. Our policies on developing civilizations must be reviewed. But first, we must address the immediate concern. Humanity's violation of multiple Federation statutes. With respect, Chancellor, Lin replied, we never signed those statutes. We chose to remain outside your legal framework precisely so we could protect these species from it. James stepped forward again. We're not here to join the Federation. We're here because we were discovered, and because perhaps it's time for the galaxy to understand that there's another way. A way to be strong without dominating. To be advanced without imposing that advancement on others. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity hadn't just been hiding their protection of developing species. They'd created an entirely different approach to galactic civilization. One that challenged the Federation's most basic assumptions about progress and development. There will be more revelations, Lin promised. More surprises as we step out of the shadows. But know this. We will not abandon our charges. The price we've paid was worth it, and we'll continue to pay it gladly. As the council chamber erupted in fresh debate, Lin and James shared a knowing look. This was just the beginning. Humanity's great experiment in guardianship was about to face its greatest test, the judgment of a galaxy that had chosen a very different path. Would you like me to continue with part 3? This part reveals the deeper implications of humanity's choices while introducing new characters and expanding on the concept of sacrifice for a greater purpose. The emergency alert came during the third day of the Federation Council's debates over humanity's revelations. Admiral James Chen was reviewing protection protocols when his quantum communicator pulsed with urgent priority. "Sir," his AI assistant materialized, its form unusually agitated. "We're detecting a Class 10 cosmic anomaly. Multiple protected systems are in its path." The holographic display expanded, showing a massive gravitational distortion moving through space like a tidal wave. James felt his blood run cold. In a century of guardianship, they'd never faced a threat of this magnitude. "How many systems are threatened?" he asked, already knowing the answer would be bad. 5 protected worlds, Admiral, including the Nexari. Current projections show the anomaly will reach the first system in 72 hours. James activated the emergency broadcast channel. "This is Admiral Chen initiating Protocol Omega. All Guardian fleet vessels converge on transmitted coordinates. This is not a drill." The Federation Council chamber erupted in chaos when Lin Wang announced the situation. "The anomaly will destroy everything in its path," she explained, her calm voice belying the gravity of the situation. "We're mobilizing our entire Guardian fleet." "Impossible," the Quantum Mind Collective representative pulsed. "Even with your advanced technology, you cannot hope to stop a Class 10 anomaly. The energy requirements alone are precisely why we built the Aegis network," James interrupted, striding into the chamber. The holoprojection changed, revealing a vast web of interconnected stations and vessels that had remained hidden until now. "Everything we've done, every sacrifice we've made, was leading to this moment." High Chancellor Vexera's crystalline form pulsed with realization. "The protection network, it's not just for observation." "No," Lin confirmed. "It's a shield grid. Every hidden station, every cloaked satellite, they're all part of a defensive network designed to protect developing civilizations from exactly this kind of threat." The chamber watched in awe as humanity's ships emerged from hiding across multiple sectors. Vessels that had masqueraded as asteroids or comets revealed their true forms. Hidden stations activated, their energy signatures finally visible after decades of perfect concealment. "We need the Federation's help," James announced, surprising everyone. "Our network can channel enough energy to deflect the anomaly, but we'll need your ships to help evacuate our protection teams. We're about to sacrifice every installation we've built over the last century." "You destroy your entire protection infrastructure?" a Meridian representative asked incredulously. 100 years of work to save 5 developing civilizations," Lin replied, without hesitation. The next hours were a blur of activity. Federation ships, finally seeing the full scope of humanity's hidden technology, worked alongside the Guardian fleet to evacuate personnel from thousands of secret installations. Each evacuation revealed new surprises. Technology that the Federation had thought impossible, systems that defied conventional understanding. Sarah Chen's voice crackled over the command channel from the Solarian. "Admiral, the Nexari have detected the anomaly. They're panicking." James closed his eyes briefly. This was the moment they'd always feared, when hiding would become impossible. "Captain Chen, implement emergency protocol revelation. It's time to show them they're not alone." Across 5 star systems, humanity's hidden guardians finally revealed themselves to their charges. The Solarian decloaked in full view of the Nexari homeworld, along with dozens of other ships. Similar scenes played out in the other threatened systems as humanity abandoned its secrecy to save those they'd watched over for so long. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of Earth," her message broadcast in the Nexari's own language. "We have watched over your civilization since you first looked to the stars. We are here to protect you, but we need your trust." In the Federation Council chamber, representatives watched in amazement as 5 primitive species faced first contact in the midst of crisis. Some reacted with fear, others with awe, but all soon realized the truth. Their unknown guardians were revealing themselves only because they had to. The anomaly will reach the outer defense grid in 6 hours, James announced. All Federation vessels clear the area. What we're about to do has never been attempted. Lynn stepped forward, addressing the Council one final time. Watch closely. You're about to see why we chose to be Guardians, why we sacrificed everything to protect those who couldn't protect themselves, and perhaps you'll understand why we believe this price was worth paying. The Federation fleet retreated to safe distance as humanity's Guardian fleet took up their positions. A century of preparation, of hidden advances and secret technology, was about to be put to the ultimate test. 5 civilizations that had never known they were being protected were about to witness the full extent of their Guardians' dedication. And in the space between stars, humanity prepared to sacrifice everything they'd built to save those who didn't even know they existed. Would you like me to continue with Part 4? This section escalates the stakes while revealing more of humanity's hidden capabilities and their willingness to sacrifice everything for their principles. The gravitational anomaly loomed before the Guardian fleet like a tsunami of warped spacetime. From the bridge of the Solarian, Sarah Chen watched as a century of human preparation faced its ultimate test. Behind her ship, the Nexari homeworld shimmered like a blue jewel, its people now aware they weren't alone in the universe. All stations report ready, Lieutenant Rivera announced. The Aegis network is operating at maximum capacity. Sarah nodded, her eyes fixed on the approaching distortion. Begin power transfer sequence. Divert all non-essential systems to the shield grid. Across 5 star systems, thousands of hidden installations activated simultaneously. Energy conduits that had lain dormant for decades hummed to life. The Aegis network, humanity's greatest secret, began to glow with unleashed power. In the Federation Council chamber, the assembled representatives watched in stunned silence. The scale of human engineering was beyond anything they had imagined possible. By the first light, High Chancellor Vexera whispered, her crystalline form pulsing with awe. The energy readings, they're beyond theoretical limits. Admiral James Chen stood beside the holographic display, his face illuminated by the data streams. We've had a century to prepare, Chancellor. Every advance we made, every discovery we kept hidden. It was all for this moment. The anomaly struck the first layer of defenses. Space itself seemed to bend as the Aegis network engaged, creating a barrier of pure energy between the threat and the protected worlds. The strain was immediately apparent. Dozens of installations overloaded and failed in the first seconds. Grid integrity at 78% and falling, Rivera reported, his voice tense. We're losing outer stations faster than projected. Sarah keyed her command channel. All ships begin emergency protocol Omega. Transfer all power to the primary shield grid. Prepare to sacrifice the fleet if necessary. The Federation observers watched in disbelief as human ships began powering down their own life support systems, channeling every available joule of energy into the defense grid. The crews would have minutes of air at most. They're going to kill themselves, a Meridian representative gasped. Lin Wang's voice was steady. No, they're showing us what it truly means to be Guardians. The anomaly pressed against humanity's defenses like a tide of cosmic destruction. More stations failed, their destruction marking the night with brief, brilliant flares. But the shield held. Grid integrity at 45%, Rivera called out, his breath visible in the increasingly cold bridge. Outer stations are gone. Inner grid is holding but failing. Sarah watched as her ship's power reserves drained away. The temperature on the bridge dropped below freezing as life support failed. Ice crystals formed on the viewport, but through them, she could see the Nexari homeworld still safely behind the barrier of light and energy that humanity had created. Admiral, she managed through chattering teeth, the fleet can't hold much longer. Request permission to initiate final protocol. James Chen's response was immediate. Granted, Captain. Show them what humanity stands for. Sarah nodded to Rivera, who could barely move his frozen fingers across the controls, initiating core overload. All ships, prepare to follow suit. Across the defense line, the remaining Guardian fleet vessels began their final sacrifice. Their fusion cores, the heart of their ships, were deliberately destabilized. The energy released would either reinforce the shield grid one last time, or destroy them all. In the council chamber, the Federation representatives finally understood. Humanity hadn't hidden themselves out of fear or isolationism. They had separated themselves from galactic society, so they could become something more. True guardians willing to sacrifice everything for those they protected. Help them, High Chancellor Vexera ordered, her form blazing with brilliant light. All Federation ships within range, transfer power to their grid. We will not let them die alone. Federation vessels, moving with unprecedented unity, joined the defense line. Ships that had never been designed to work together linked their power systems to the human network. Species that had questioned humanity's choices now rushed to support their sacrifice. The combined power of two civilizations met the gravitational anomaly head-on. Space itself seemed to scream as incomprehensible energies clashed. On 5 worlds, primitive species watched in awe as their guardians stood against cosmic forces to protect them. Grid stability restored, Rivera announced, his voice weak but triumphant. The anomaly. It's breaking up. Sarah Chen watched through frosted eyes as the threat that had driven humanity to reveal themselves began to dissipate. The combined might of human sacrifice and Federation support had accomplished the impossible. As emergency crews rushed to rescue the freezing Guardian fleet crews, the 5 protected species saw something unprecedented. Humanity and the Federation working together to save them. The age of hidden guardians was over, but perhaps something even greater was beginning. Would you like me to continue with the final part? This section showcases the culmination of humanity's sacrifice while setting up the transformation of galactic society that will follow in Part 5. 3 months after the gravitational anomaly crisis, the Galactic Federation had changed more than it had in the previous millennium. The Grand Chamber of Centauri Prime now hosted representatives not only from established spacefaring civilizations, but also from the 5 species humanity had protected, including the Nexari, whose first official act had been to thank their former guardians. Ambassador Lin Wang stood at the center of the chamber, her white hair now bearing a streak of silver from the stress of recent months. The holographic displays around her showed not hidden installations or defensive grids, but something far more remarkable. The first Joint Human Federation Protection Initiative. The Guardian Protocol, she announced, her voice carrying the weight of history, represents a new path forward. Not just for humanity, not just for the Federation, but for all species taking their first steps into the cosmos. High Chancellor Vexera, her crystalline form glowing with the deep blue of profound change, gestured to the displays. 3 months ago, we thought we understood the natural order of galactic civilization. Humanity showed us how wrong we were. The images shifted, showing the reconstruction efforts. The Aegis network, nearly destroyed in the defense of 5 worlds, was being rebuilt, but differently. Federation ships worked alongside human vessels, incorporating their own technologies and philosophies into the new protection grid. Admiral James Chen, still recovering from the injuries he'd sustained during the crisis, stepped forward. We chose isolation because we believed it was the only way to protect developing civilizations. We were wrong, too. There is strength in unity, wisdom in cooperation. The chamber erupted in agreement. The once controversial human approach to protecting primitive species had become the foundation for a new galactic doctrine. The Federation's policies on non-interference had been completely rewritten, incorporating the lessons learned from humanity's century of guardianship. Captain Sarah Chen, newly promoted to fleet commander, activated a new holographic display. It showed dozens of developing civilizations, each at different stages of advancement. These are the worlds we watch over now, not as hidden guardians, but as open protectors. Each Federation member has pledged ships and resources to their defense. But more importantly, Lin added, we've pledged to let them grow at their own pace, to protect without interfering, to guard without governing. The Nexari representative, still adjusting to their role in galactic politics, raised their crystalline appendage. Our people still debate whether we should have been told sooner about our guardians. But we cannot deny that humanity's approach allowed us to develop our own identity, our own path to the stars. James nodded. That was always our goal, not to shape your development, but to ensure you had the chance to shape yourselves. The displays shifted again, showing the construction of new installations, but unlike humanity's hidden watchers, these were visible beacons, clear signs to developing civilizations that they were not alone in the cosmos, that they were protected as they grew. The age of hidden guardians is over, Lynn announced, but its lessons will guide us forward. The sacrifice humanity made, not just during the crisis, but over a century of isolation, has shown us a better way. A Meridian representative floated forward. We once thought humanity backward for rejecting Federation membership. Now we understand. You weren't rejecting progress, you were defining it differently. Sarah stepped up beside her father, her presence a testament to the continuity of human dedication. The Guardian Protocol isn't just about protection. It's about hope. Hope that every species will have the chance to reach the stars on their own terms, to face their challenges, and celebrate their triumphs. The chamber's atmosphere was electric with possibility. The Federation had been transformed from a collective of advanced civilizations into something more, custodians of cosmic development, protectors of potential. We stand at a new beginning, High Chancellor Vexera declared. The Federation and humanity, united in purpose, not to rule the galaxy, but to guard it, not to shape its future, but to ensure that every species has the chance to shape their own. As the chamber erupted in approval, Lynn shared a knowing look with James and Sarah. Humanity's great experiment hadn't ended with their exposure. It had evolved into something greater. Their sacrifice had not just saved 5 civilizations, it had changed the course of galactic history. The legacy of the Guardians would live on, not in shadows and secrecy, but in the light of a new age where strength meant protection, where power meant responsibility, and where every species had the chance to reach for the stars and find their own way home. In the space above countless developing worlds, human and Federation ships now patrolled together, visible guardians of a future where every civilization had the chance to write its own story among the stars. The end. Would you like me to help create any supporting materials for this story, such as a detailed synopsis or promotional content?